Have it up 12 or 3.
All right.
Oh my goodness, why I gotta pee now? Let's go, guys.
Don't look in the camera.
Are we looking at
I'm
each other?
talking to you.
Yeah. You just talking. Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, we have a
Dan
conversation.
Dan is working on something.
What did
I mean, not Dan.
I
Devin.
like your
You ready, Devin?
Who's the mediator? You are?
I'm ready.
Yeah.
All right.
You started both cameras?
We're live in 3,
Mm.
2.
Good. You're ready, bro. Well, welcome everybody. This is you are tuned in to our first podcast. This is the Mr. Nolds podcast. We will have a specific name for it in the time coming. But we just wanted to quickly introduce ourselves. I'll begin. My name is Arnold Michelle. I'm Dutch.
Hi, I'm Sandy.
And I'm Jay.
This is the Mr. Nolds podcast. We're coming to you live on Instagram at Mr. Nolds, the organizational page. We're a little bit if this is your first time tuning in with us, we are a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to teaching young men and women how to live a well-balanced life by, educating them in the 4 brackets of life. We teach on health, social life, spirituality, and also wealth. Those brackets we go in depth in different areas. But this podcast is for the people, for us. We're just having our conversations about different things throughout society, the world that's going on. We're going to be doing this once a week. The more confirmed date, like the day throughout the week that we will be doing this and posting it, we will let you guys know. But in the meantime, just follow our social media at Mr. Nolds on Instagram, Facebook, and also YouTube, so you can get a notification when we are doing these podcasts. So today we wanted to quickly have a conversation about things we've been talking about behind scenes, about some of the things that's been going on in the world. I know everyone have seen, first it was the pandemic. Now we're more on police brutality and racism. So we're gonna go around share some thoughts about what's going on and what do we think about what's happening and what can we do.
I mean, my take on it is, as there's many things I can say about it. There's many ways I feel about it. Sometimes I feel like it's all fixed. Sometimes I feel like it's not fair. Sometimes I feel as if, hey, we've been going through this for years. It's nothing new. Now it's just getting recorded. How many people died with police brutality? How many people are dying from sicknesses every day? Is it just something that they're giving a name on it now? Because everybody knows somebody that died from coronavirus. It's like nobody really knows somebody personally that died from coronavirus. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just everything. I just I get to take on it, but my biggest take on it I can say is that it's all of this is spiritual, and all of this must happen. And I understand that things will get worse, especially for me being a man of God and reading my Bible. That's one thing that Jesus said, things will get worse. You understand? Before they ever get better, they will get worse. So these are things that I expect.
Like I said, this year, 2020 has been crazy. Starting off with Kobe's death, and then the pandemic, COVID-19. Even COVID, like you said, I, by the grace of God, don't have no one close who's been affected by it. And then so they made it seem is this thing even real? Mm-hmm. And then we went from this to the whole police brutality. That's a great point. I've been seeing a lot of this has been happening. It was just not being recorded. But even though how it was recorded, it almost seemed is it real? The man's staring down a camera, and he has his the George Floyd situation. He has his knee on the man's neck. Hands in his pocket, almost record me. And it made it seem fake, he wanted to get recorded because he was looking for a certain reaction. And there's a lot of conspiracy theories about what's going on. And then when things like that happen, they always want to bring the subject, let's say George Floyd, his personal life, who was he? Coming to find out, they had worked together. So then it's like, okay, yo, it's deeper than what we saw. A lot of the time we don't want to speak on, like, I try not to speak on things that I really don't know, like, behind the scenes. Because you can see one thing for how they portray it, how they show it, but then it's totally something else going on behind the scenes.
You know, one thing about life, nothing ever just happens.
Yeah.
Everything is predestined. Everything was already set to happen. You know, everything was premeditated. No matter what it is, it was always, you know, the fact that how was he the cop that came in that situation for George Floyd? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that they worked together.
So they worked together. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, could this have been prevented? Yes, but you know, nothing happens by accident. And you know, and one thing is we got to look at in the situation is, you know, the cop that putting his knee on George Floyd's neck, the people that's recording, my thing is, what I was saying, the people that's recording, they could have done something. You know, instead of just recording, looking at, like, oh, please get off his neck, complaining, you know, we never get nothing out of complaining and talking, just talking. You never get nothing. You know what I'm saying? There has to be some form of action. And some people feel as if now prayer is no more longer an action. Which what happened, what people don't know is prayer actually does change things. Because they always say, you know, oh, I'm gonna go work out. You're talking, but when you're working out, you're actually making an action. You know what I'm saying? So when you're creating an action in prayer, you're also creating an action, because when you're praying, you also feel like you're working out, and you're also moving things. The atmosphere is changing around you when you're praying. So yeah, man, it's something that, you know, I feel as if they should have took action in that situation instead of just looking at it. You know, everybody, you know, let's not wait till after the fact that now we're willing to risk our lives for black lives. But when we see it during the situation, let's be ready to risk our lives for the next person. Jesus said, what greater friend than a friend that will lay his life down for his friend? You know what I'm saying? So let's not wait till after the fact that now we want to scream, yell, shout, march, do everything. But let's do something during the situation if you're present.
It's crazy how the protests just started, like when it first happened, and you just started seeing from state to state, and then right here, we in Miami, Florida, to see the protests come down here, it was like, yo, they burning down the cop cars.
Yeah.
It was like, yo, is this for real? Mm-hmm. And then it's like, in my head, I'm like, okay, this is not gonna last at first. And then to see it spread throughout every state, and then in different Europe and in different places throughout the world, it's like, yo, like, and then now it has become way more like than just George Floyd. I know the Breonna Taylor situation, and then countless other people, and now it's like, but one thing is, even though, let's just say, because you know there's a lot of conspiracy theories, let's say this was all planned, but at the end of the day, like, I see things are happening. For example, the different rules and things that they're passing, whether it's state by state, like Minnesota, New York, and Georgia, and different places passing, whether it's like, yo, you can't just put your neck on somebody, you can't just put your knee on somebody's neck. So different stuff are happening, and we're seeing more companies, because of different companies now, you know everybody getting canceled, like they say in society. You say anything wrong about the black community, it's like, yo, okay, yo, we done with you. We've seen a lot of influencers get canceled, especially businesses from like, I know Starbucks had a situation, just countless other people.
I feel as if it's a thing where companies are now, because they know, listen, it's not the white people that spend their money here the most, but it's actually the black people. So we want to make face as much as possible. We want to make sure our face is clean so that they continue coming shopping with us and bringing their daughter to us. Yeah. You know, so they're trying to save face. Really, I don't feel as if, you know, they're sincerely meaning what they're saying. You understand what I'm saying? Because everything is business. Yeah. You know, business is to save face so that the dollar keep coming back in. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
Guys, if you during the podcast, if you guys have a question, you guys can just write a question, and then our cameraman will tell us, and we'll give you a name in the question, and then we will try our best to answer your question. At this time, I think we have a question. Is there a question for us?
We have John. He asked, "What do you think the people that could be watched the event happen? What could they have done?" Basically.
So Well, we'll let Jay start off with that.
I mean, I guess in any situation, to be honest, taking a stand, you gotta be willing to sacrifice, though, in that situation, because, jumping in, like, imagine, taking action or, like, maybe pushing the police officer, in that case, that could have been dangerous for your own self.
Yeah.
So, I think if you are gonna take action, for me personally, to be honest, like in a situation like that, it's pretty tough. I have to admit, because the thing is, you really have to be willing to sacrifice your life for that person too, and you don't even know if the police is gonna kill that person afterwards, anyways. But in that situation, it's very tough because you run to the police officer, you push them, they can drop their gun.
And remember, they have people on the side,
Yeah.
so one of them could see you come in, they shoot you.
Yeah, so it's like, you can't be a threat to them, but then again, they're being a threat to you guys. So that is just tough, man, to answer that question.
In those, it's easier said than done. Like anybody
Yeah.
be like, man, if I was there, I would have went and pushed him off of his neck, all that type of stuff. It's not in the moment you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
That has to be something already you live by.
Yeah.
That has to be something you're willing to already die for.
Yeah.
Like, example, the gospel. When we look at the disciples, we always say as Christians, man, would I be able to die for Christ like the disciples died for Christ, right? If your life already is not a life where you're in total communion with God, you live a life of prayer, fasting, dedication to, make sure you're being in scripture. If you're not living that type of life, I can say that it would be a very hard thing to die for Christ, because you don't even know who you're dying for. Because remember, the disciples didn't even know who they were walking with until after the fact, right? So it takes a certain maturity to really, come to a place where in a lifestyle you say, I'm willing to die for, my brother, that's black, that looks like me. I'm willing to die for him. If I see him in a situation where he's distressed, I will stand for him.
Yeah.
My thing is because I had different conversation with different people about, like, in times like this, what position do you take? And I've heard, I forgot which influencer I listened to, and he was like, certain people can never be the ones in the protest, because it will cost our community so much that it would actually set us back instead of doing good. For example, like, let's say if a black man, he's a CEO of a 500 Fortune company, right? Him being in the front line, they call those people front line. It's like the army. You have a group of people that they're gonna go out with the guns and they're gonna shoot. Now in the army, not everyone is gonna be part of the front line, go out there and shoot. There's commanders who are in the back. There's strategy people who do the strategies. You have medical people. So you have different groups of people. Because sometimes people will think you're a sellout or you don't feel the pain because you're not doing what they're doing. In that case, it's like, you can fight. Everyone can fight this battle in their own way.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I can fight the battle by getting a group of people together and praying. That's one way we can fight it. Just like there's a group of people that can get a group of people together and go out and protest. So, you guys got to be mindful about, like, how do you do it based on who you are. Because if you're somebody, like, you work with different groups of people, you want to be careful, because then you can lose it all.
Yeah, I don't believe you can get anything accomplished when you're just doing one thing. But if you have different people in different areas attacking
doing
different
things.
situations, then at that point now you can be touching different leaders in different organizations and different, political areas, So what about you, sis? How
as a woman, from a woman perspective, like, how do you feel about this situation?
It's very tragic. I don't condone the whole violence thing. I feel like, there is a right. Well, you can't tell people how to feel. So, people are entitled to feel how they feel. People hurt differently, and, people go through different emotions. But it's like, when you project it onto other people, one thing I've noticed on social media is like, oh, you're supposed to be enraged, you're supposed to be mad, you're supposed to, and to see like, like the black community we just on fire, like we're enraged. It's just kind of like, we are in some very trying times, I would say. It's just not the way everything's going, especially the way the year started off. It's just yeah.
I mean, to piggyback of like what you the first initial question about like, what do you guys think about the year? Do you guys feel like the coronavirus was like a blessing in disguise for like the Black Lives Matter movement? Because to be honest, I personally feel like if that would have happened in during times where everybody was like living their normal lives, I feel like the movement would have been as as strong and as consistent as it is right now. Because I mean, the fact that coronavirus like disturbed like the whole year already, you know, we're willing to we're gonna stand for this cause. We've been staying home for like for how many days, for weeks and months, and now we're willing to take a stand. I feel like I mean personally, coronavirus didn't disturb my peace that much. So I feel like to me it was like a blessing for it to come.
I feel like it was a blessing. It was everything that's a blessing can be a curse.
Yeah.
Everything that's a curse can be a blessing.
Yeah.
And the fact, and I actually read something like that. The fact that the pandemic happened and everybody had to stay home. Everybody had more time on their hands.
Yeah.
So normally, the black community are working. So. If everybody's working and they're hearing about protests and all that stuff, I ain't got time. I gotta go to work. Yeah. So I work 9 to 5. So I'm saying, wake up tomorrow morning. But since I'm already home and I'm getting already a check from the government, everybody out protesting. I'm gonna go with everybody. I might as well go and support my people, right? Yeah. But if I was working and I was busy, I wouldn't have time. Understand? Yeah. And I believe that's why the system. One thing that the system does is tries to keep. Like if you go to these. Like we spend a lot of times in fancy hotels, fancy restaurants. You always see white people. Yeah. The black people are always working. Yeah. They try to keep us busy. They say if you want to hide anything from a black man, put it in a book because he won't pick it up and read it. So we have to break out of this cycle of this everyday rat race, so that we can actually see who we are and what's our identity.
Yeah. Okay. You see, that's good. Now we're cooking up something because, because everybody's so big on the white man. Yes, white supremacy has been a thing. We know the KKK is actually a legalized organization in the United States of America.
That's one thing. I don't know how it's legal.
Yeah. But
because there's political, the leaders are part of it.
Yeah, a lot of leaders and a lot of police department, believe it or not, are the heads of the KKK. So with all that being said, we know that we've suffered at the hands of the white counterpart. But we also gotta look at about us, because we are given the opportunity that we are now free, even though like we've suffered at their hands, but we are free now to heal ourselves. A lot of times I think like we're waiting for the white man to heal us, like either through checks, like giving us reparation. I think the reparation check, white or black people never got one. Or we're waiting for them to apologize, put laws. But at the end of the day, it's like, what are we doing? And I know some people are like, this is not the time for that. We gotta come at them. But we gotta understand, even though after all this is done, these people, they might pass one or two things, but they got their system and they're not gonna lose everything. And I think it's I've always heard like when somebody do something to you, if you wait for them to apologize, you'll suffer the rest of your life. But if you can forgive them inside, you live free. Because when you hold them and when you wait on them to apologize, you're the only one suffering and they're moving on. So we gotta do things in our community that heals us emotionally, mentally, and also financially. Like I said, starting our businesses, supporting one another, mental health. For example, like one thing I say, one thing that I've known that has a great impact on the mind, our music. We make music, let's just say whether through rap, R&B, and different genre, that demoralize and crippled our own community. we cannot wait for the next man to like, oh man, apologize and heal us, but we ourselves is destroying ourselves as well.
It's like poison.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. Let's look at it like this. What if you talked about healing? I believe the black community has a lot of healing to do because of what our ancestors really been through.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? We don't know what it's like to be whooped in the back, but we know what it's like to be shot in the back.
Yeah.
Right? We don't know what it's like. You know, it's the same thing. It's just done in a different way. But what if it was flipped over and we had the upper hand to put white people as slaves? Would they fight just as much for their freedom, or because we feel as if we're being treated wrong, we feel as if we're being treated unfair, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why we're fighting. We want to be equal. We don't. You're no different than us. Just because you're white and we're black doesn't mean you're better than us. You understand what I'm saying? But are we fighting because we want to be treated equally, or is just because you think that you're better than me and I'm going to show you that you're not better than me, or are we fighting for peace?
Yeah.
You know, but that's the thing. Everybody that's out there protesting, everybody that's out there saying something, whatever you're doing, you always gotta recheck yourself and say, why am I standing? Am I standing because my brother's standing, or am I standing because this situation hurts me? Like every time I see this, see these things on social media, I get a different feeling. I promise you. Yesterday, I was watching Do the Right Thing, and then Selma came on, and when I was watching Do the Right Thing, when I seen Spike Lee throw the garbage can into the because Radio Raheem got choked out and killed, it's like tears wanted to come to my eyes because I'm like, yo, we're actually going through this. And that movie came out in the 80s, late 80s, and we still going through that. Riots, cops killing black men. We still going through this. I'm like, yo, it's crazy because as I watched that movie thousands of times, but it hit different because I'm actually going through we're going through this same situation right now.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man. But I think we will signal. Do we have another question?
Yeah. Jonathan says, do you guys feel like sports coming back, will that be like a distraction for the Black Lives Matter movement?
That's a good one. Personally, being a lover of sports, and I know basketball is trying to come back. I know Kyrie had came out and said like it would be a bad idea, and some few other players. I'm kind of like in the middle. Yes, I think it will take away from the whole movement and what we're trying to do, but at the same time, if it come back, and then you start seeing a lot of players, whether through wearing shirts or whether through kneeling or doing some form of gesture to bring us back, I think it will push it. So it's just when it do come back, what are we gonna do? A lot of players, whether in NFL or NBA, already came out and say, yo, no matter what, whenever we come back, we're gonna start kneeling. I think the owner of the Dallas Mavericks came out yesterday. He said he will participate with his players kneeling through protests. So me, I'm on both sides. I don't know about any of you guys.
Well, I mean, obviously, anything that comes back to like the regular norm is gonna take away the emphasis on what's being done like right now, some way somehow. But like Herno said, I mean, you can use sport as a way to advertise, the Black Lives Matter movement. We can, whether it's, I don't know, financially, I mean, if they come back, they're getting paid.
Yeah.
So whether it's financially or like whichever way you can, there's always a possibility that we can, keep the movement going and advertise the movement even more. That's how I feel personally. But I mean, if it doesn't come back, I mean,
one thing I've seen, because a few people had got on Stephen A. Smith. Because he was all for the league coming back, and he mentioned a few stuff. Not all the players get paid the same.
Yeah.
Some players right now they hurting, because everybody think not everyone in the NBA make millions of dollars.
Yeah.
There are players in the NBA that make a couple $100,000. So, and then also it's not even the players. You gotta understand everyone that's connected. Yeah, their workers are not being paid and things like that. So. I know money is not the main focus in the situation, but you also got to take into consideration the people that will be financially affected. and also there's always different avenues to get a point across.
And one thing he had said is, if, like, for example, because I think he was addressing Kyrie, he was like, if you don't want the NBA to come back, like, what's your plan though?
Yeah.
Like, like all this is happening, but like, there has to be like a real plan going across. Like, all right, we're not gonna let the NBA come back, but we're gonna do this instead.
Yeah.
So like we can move, and better the situation.
Yeah. You have anything to say when it comes to sports or entertainment in general coming
You used
back?
to play basketball.
Yeah, back in the day. I think it will be, like, it will intensify things, because like you guys said, people will come back and then start, they're gonna be woke, so people gonna start kneeling, people gonna start, doing all, supporting the Black Lives Matter movement, which, I don't disagree with, but I do think that it will be like a distraction to what's going on, because if you think about it, like when everything was normal, a lot of people probably didn't have time to connect with what's like the real issues that's going on in life, because I'm tired, I just came from work, I'm gonna just put the game on, or I'm gonna just watch this, or I'm gonna just watch that. So now it's like everybody have time now to really kind of like dissect what's really going on. Now we bring sports and everything back. I feel like it can be a distraction depending on like how you want to look at it.
I feel like it could be a distraction, and it will be a good thing. It could be a distraction if they look at it like, okay, if they just look at it from the owner's point of view, everything happened, let's get back to the norm. Let's get back to playing basketball. We pay you to play basketball. Yeah. Let's get back to it. But it can be also a good thing if the players that's predominantly black that's in the NBA will come together as a culture and make a stand and not compromise about what's going on. Yeah. So if they come back not compromising and standing for Black Lives Matter, standing for everything that's going on, there can be a big difference in the sports industry.
Yeah.
Because football will go ahead and follow right behind.
That's
true.
Baseball will follow right behind. Right?
Yeah.
So it's when it comes to sports, I believe it's just they got to stand together because we're not in sports.
Yeah.
So we can't speak for them and tell them, okay, this is what you got to do. They got to make that decision amongst themselves as leaders in that area.
Especially if the NBA, like, as a organization stands for like the whole movement, I believe that would be like very big, because obviously what had happened with the NFL, with I forgot his name, Colin Kaepernick's, taking the knee, and they basically try to shut that down. So it's like if the NBA would have stood for that, I mean, that would be like, wow, like such a big organization, worldwide, that would stand for like such a good movement.
I feel like there's a lot of, even with our people, I'm going to say this, I feel as if, we're not allowing people to speak how they feel. Don't be upset because somebody doesn't feel how you feel about everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. You can't just cancel somebody because they feel differently. Yeah. They was not raised like you. Yeah. You probably was raised in a way where this was going on in your life way before all this Black Lives thing matter thing. So you gotta allow people to learn. You gotta allow people to go through and realize for themselves. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? So don't just cast a stone. You're becoming just like the problem when you just cast your own people out. Educate your people. Educate them. Yeah. Send them articles. Let them know. Listen. Let's link up. Let's talk. I feel as if you probably don't know too much about what's really going on. Yeah. I hear that you're speaking your mind, but let's sit down and let's talk. I want to show you a couple of things that I went through, my family went through, my friends went through, people that I don't even know. I knew that it wasn't recorded, and I knew that they went through.
Yeah.
Yeah, you saying that is like, because I think about somebody like Lil Wayne. He's came out during this time and before. He said he's never experienced racism. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people are like, yo, what the heck? Like, you're worldly renowned. People know you all across the world. You perform everywhere. Yeah, and he was like, yo, he's never endured that. Like, even myself, have I experienced it on a minimal level, but not to the level I'm hearing people talking about. Like, even, but so some people, especially depending on where you live, some states, especially like, let's say we stay in South Florida, Miami.
We experience racism when we go inside of a store.
Yeah, it's like on a minimal level. It's not really on a big level. So, of course, based on how you felt it or how you dealt with it, you're going to react differently.
And some people don't know how to like process it too, though. Like some people probably don't want to relive that trauma that they probably experienced in the past from like, you know what I'm saying, like racism. And so with all this going on, it's like, wait, like what? You know, some people, everybody move at their own pace, you know. So
it's good to not be biased also, you know.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, you know, like a lot of black people, you know, well, a lot of black people would say, you know, like white people are racist, but it's not all white people, you know.
Yeah, it's not all
like,
white people.
For me, like personally, you know, I grew up in a school where I was like oftentimes I was like the only black boy in my class, and you know, we had like a Muslim kid and we had a French kid, you know. And to me, like, I looked at those guys, you know, even though they weren't the same color skin as me, I looked at those guys like brothers.
Yeah.
Because to me, like, growing up in a multicultural school, you know, I didn't really see color. You know, the only difference was you're from France, so I know you have a different culture, you know, and I'm from America, so we have a different culture. So it was really like the culture difference. Not really like, yo, your skin is different, so like that's your people. We looked at each other like, yo, we're the same. And we treated each other as the same. So, you know, it always bothered me when people were like, oh, white people are this. I'm like, dude, like, I have some closest friends, white people, like, they're nicer to me than black people are nice, like, treat me.
We have to be careful with that. That's one thing we have to point out, like, labeling everyone.
Yeah.
On the same. Not all white people are racist. To be honest, I found, like, this is my experience. I've dealt with more racist Hispanics than white in South Florida.
Oh yeah.
That's in my case. Maybe not everyone has dealt with that. So we gotta be careful when it comes to that. And not all cops are bad.
Yeah.
I have family members who are cops, and they're some of the best people I know.
Funniest guy.
And what I'm seeing on social media is like people are like, if you're my so-called white friend and you're not supporting what I got going on, then you're racist. You know, like they're giving them an ultimatum. Like if you're not talking about this and you're not liking what I'm posting, then you're racist.
I know white kids who support Black Lives Matter more than me.
And I'm just like,
I'm looking at these protesters. I see more white people than black.
Yeah.
That's the scary part.
It's control. They're trying to control. Like, allow me to educate myself instead of you trying to control me. I don't know if you guys watched the movie, the Malcolm X movie when Denzel played Malcolm X. There was a scene in the movie where a young lady, he's going to speak at a college, and a young lady, she's white, she comes to him, she says, I'm down with the whole movement that you're doing. I wanted to know how I can support. He looks at her and says, she says, what can I do? He says, nothing. And he keeps walking. But then later on in the movie, he actually goes to Africa and he sees that it's not just black Muslims. There's white, there's Hispanics, there's different kind of Muslims. And he was like, wow, I didn't know this. These are the things I didn't know. And when he got back, this was what he started preaching. And I believe that's why they killed him, because he was trying to change something. So we got to get the hate out of our heart. We got to get the controlling out of our heart. And if you say you love your black brother, your black sister the way you say you do, then you should be willing to educate them, not tear them down, not control them. Listen, since you black, you support what we're doing. You don't gotta know nothing about history. You don't gotta know nothing. You ain't gotta do no type of research. Just support it because you black. No, that it can't work like that. For his whole heart to be into it, for him to be willing to die for it, he has to know what he's dying for.
Yeah.
He has to know what he's standing for.
Yeah, guys, and let's be careful with the protests, like, because we come to find out, like a lot of the protests, it was basically staged, where in different places, I know Atlanta was one. In different places in Atlanta, they would place bricks in different corners, so like people would come and take the bricks to throw into loot. I know that situation. There was an organization they said that was kind of responsible for that, and they were going after them.
Even the Wendy's that blew up in
that they burned. They saw
there was a little white girl that set it off fire.
They saw it was a white girl who lit the Wendy's on fire in Atlanta after the guy who was shot. But we want to be careful. Like, that's why don't ever jump into something before like knowing at least a little bit. Because a lot of times you'll get caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm not against protests, especially peaceful protests. But when it comes to, like, I know a lot of people's like, yo, let's burn everything. That's the only time that they're going to listen. Now, that's where with me, it's hard for me to accept that. Even though I can say I want to accept it, but because of what I believe in my morals, I'm like, it shouldn't be right that we just get up and burn everything. We've seen a different side. We've seen how Martin Luther King did it, and in the beginning we saw how Malcolm X did it. And at the end of the day, how Martin Luther King did it was, I would say, the more effective way. Because I remember mentioning to somebody, in life we know there's like basically two ways you can persuade someone to do something. Either through fear or incentives, like doing something good for them, right? Now, if I'm somebody like, I want you to do something for me. And then at first you're like, no, I don't want to do it. Then I burn your house down. And then that forces you to do something for me. Now I got what you wanted. I got what I wanted from you. But there will always be something in your heart and in your mind.
Yeah.
But I could have went another way. I got you to do the same thing I wanted, but through an act of love or through love. Now, there's no hatred for me in your heart.
Yeah.
So you did it out of your own willingness. Yeah. Instead of like, you know what, God, let's just pass a law so we can quiet them. But you know what, we're gonna get them back in the
And not only that,
on the back end.
Not only that, like I think like your example is pretty great because because you said like he'll have a hatred towards you after. You know, a lot of times with what the media is portraying, like the black people are doing, like they're rioting, they're doing all this and that, and that. Like racism, they say a lot. Racism, you're not born racist, you're taught to be racist.
Yeah, definitely.
So a lot of times, you're gonna have like young white kids, and then they're gonna look at which probably they're not growing up next to black kids and stuff like that, so they don't really know them. And when they're watching the media or like their parents are telling them, it's like they're gonna have a picture in their mind that the black kids are, they
aggressive.
they're aggressive, they tear things down. And the thing is, you see, I remember I watched a little video about it was like this 30-year-old guy talking to this 40-year-old man, and he was like, "This is not the way." Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of things that that we have to change before we can really, live, together, white, black, and not see colors anymore. A lot of things, a lot of time, when people are racist, it's basically coming off of like prejudice. Yeah. Oh, the media, like we always hear about like, oh, there's like gangs, boom, 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 and we always hear most of the time it's like in black communities. Yeah. So it's like when the white people come, to them it's like, oh, this is what I keep hearing about black people. So me, I'm thinking like, oh, I see Dutch and he's in a black community. I'm gonna think like, oh, he's violent, just like the media be portraying.
But not all black communities are like that too. Like for example,
not all, but the news portrays.
Yeah, the news.
So then the white people, the people who are not familiar with those neighborhoods, they think all black neighborhoods are like that.
So they're gonna think like we're all violent. So I believe there's like a lot of things that we have to fix. For example, one thing I spoke to Herno was we have to have more black medias. Like black big news companies. So it's not that we're being portrayed by like a specific group that just tells the whole world that, man, we're violent, we're poor, we have no heart and stuff like that. We have to have like big media companies that are run by black people. One thing we have to do that I remember watching the documentary about the Rockefellers. They penetrated the government, the system, for them to create their own change. We have to stop thinking like, man, we're gonna go to the white people and then we're gonna ask them, please change this. Yeah, it can work, but we're gonna have to have like a certain amount of white people, to be with us, for them to be like, okay, you know what, we're gonna change that for them because it's not fair for them. But the thing is, if we would have penetrated the government and then we would have affected the government, we could have changed the laws ourselves, because we ourselves are the Americans too. It's not just white people that are Americans. We're the Americans too, I'm Haitian,
But at one point we tried to do that though back in the day with the Black Wall Street. They burned it down.
No, but we mean penetrating I think you mean like having people in Congress, having people, judges. Yeah. So that's
not
why
segregating, not having not only having our own things, because if we have our own things, to be honest, there's always going to be a competition. There's always going to be like the white side. There's always going to be the black side. But if we're able to merge everything, whereas like we penetrate the government, I mean, I guess they kind of tried it with the black.
Yeah. It's not easy because
they've installed.
You gotta go
that I believe, you know, back in slavery days, what the white people installed into the black people was that selfish gene.
Yeah.
And that selfish gene, it's already something that we're already getting into.
Yeah.
It. They activated it. They taught us how to do it. They trained us in that way. So it's like, even when our people get in those positions, they're selfish.
Yeah.
They're thinking about
themselves and
they're not thinking about what we want as the people, you know what I'm saying? So they're, you know, and they're still, and themselves are still trying to save face with the white people.
And penetrating the system is one way, but penetrating is not going to be easy because
that's the hardest part, I feel.
Yeah, you got to understand they set up a system for them to thrive. Even the educational system, like how they put the best schools getting accepted into certain schools and all that stuff, even job applications, and things like that. So
there's different things you're gonna have to put in place to penetrate your system.
Yeah, so basically we have to learn how the game is played, and then play according.
Yeah.
I know. So we gotta because time is kind of ticking down. We gotta talk some solutions. You see, Sandy mentioned Black Wall Street. I'm gonna let her go into a little more about her thoughts on Black Wall Street, because I'm not gonna lie, I learned about Black Wall Street 2-3 years ago, because of someone I was following. I never knew this thing existed, and I think a few of us had watched a documentary together about what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So that was I think that is something, if we bring back, which there are certain groups that's already bringing that back, that's part of the solution. So we can talk some solution when it comes to what can we do as a black minority community to instead of waiting for them to change the laws and do whatever they gotta do, what can we do now with everything remaining the same?
Honestly, I honestly feel it's just a whole come together type of situation. If you have some type of influence, and even if you don't have an influence but you're passionate about making a change, a positive change, I feel like you should be voicing that. You should be going hard for that. Man, there's a lot of successful black doctors, black lawyers, you know what I'm saying, and I feel like it's time that we invest the money back into our community. I honestly think that we've been brainwashed for so long to doing this, or it's just been a systematic cycle where it's we're doing this because this is how we grew up, this is all we know, and we don't know any better. But of course, change is, nobody likes change. Change is not something that is not easy. But if we have that willingness to put forth and actually make an effort to make a change, I feel like this can work. Especially the generation now, they are headstrong. That's one thing I can say about this generation. When they go hard for something, they go hard for something. So let's just go hard for the right thing. Let's just put our money together. Let's put our minds together. Let's educate. Let's just bring the resources, because we are the culture. You get what I'm saying? I feel like we are the culture. I feel like people gravitate to the black culture because of what we bring, who we are.
One thing I can say is important that we do, that can be a great solution, is serve. Mm-hmm. Serve the black community. Serve your people. One way of serving, making sure if you know somebody, and it doesn't have to be work with what you have. Serve what you have.
Yeah.
If you have a couple of friends that have a business and they're black, they look like you, help serve them. And whether with your finances, or if your finances are not up to par, serve in their business. How can I help your business? What can I do for your business? Social media is big right now. Let me post up your business. You don't even have to charge me. You don't have to pay me anything. You understand what I'm saying? So it's always a good way to come back and serve your people, because serving them is the best thing that you can do for somebody. Serving them.
Of course, I would say one of the solutions is staying prayerful. Staying in praying, asking God to heal the land. But I think outside of that, one of the most important thing we can do as a black community is to start repairing our psyche. Our psyche is very damaged. We're very selfish as a black community. For those who understand how, I won't go in all the law, but if you ever read or watched the Jim Crow laws, of how they instilled, basically they created a new psychology for us the way we think. Like one example I always use is how they would take the male son and they would beat them in front of the mother, in front of the women. So in the mind of the women, they always want to hold the men back and push the women forward. So you'll always hear the mom always afraid, like even nowadays, like your mom will be like, yo, you know, don't behave, just listen to what they tell you, you know, don't go out so late, don't do this, don't do that. Because that's been instilled since slavery days. So that's one of many things that was instilled through the Jim Crow laws. We have to begin to like taking those things out. So we have to begin implementing ways to show love, care, and a whole bunch of stuff. Because what I feel like in the community sometimes, in the black community, it's like, I think we're so hurt or we're so damaged in a way sometimes where it's like
hurt people.
Yeah. We would never be able to grow until we ourselves inside are healed. Like that's why the Bible would tell you, love others how what? Like how you love yourself. So if I don't love myself, there's no way I can love you. So and I think another very important way, and my last point, is through the entertainment. Whether if you're a rapper, if you're someone who do YouTube, if you're somebody who do movies, no matter how you're entertaining the people, because you gotta understand, whatever you hear is what you'll follow, whatever you consistently hear. So if I'm a black male or female making music, movies, vlogs, whatever it may be, and I keep talking about my hurt, how black men hurt people, like cheating and degrading the women, degrading the men, what I'm doing is I'm passing that on to everyone who's listening to me. So I am not helping my community. So I put the responsibility for all the influencers, and everybody believe in their own way as an influencer. Be mindful of the content you're putting out there. We have a lot of people. I'll give example. Let's say right now in Miami, I don't know elsewhere, we have I think they're called the City Girls. The City Girls, and I'm not afraid to use them as an example. I don't listen to rap music. One of the reasons I don't listen, well, once in a while I'll tap in. Like this week, I listened to some old Tupac. I wanted to see what this man was saying, because you know we're living some of this today. So I don't, but on a general basis, I don't necessarily listen to rap music. It's circular music, especially the ones today. But for example, the City Girls, I see from the time the City Girls came out, of the changes it made in the women that listen to the City Girls. And now I have nothing against the City Girls. God bless them. And they're fortunate enough to do things for the community, because I heard they do a lot of stuff for community. God bless them. But a lot of time we'll get famous off like certain things, just because sometimes you telling me the right thing to do means more than you donating $1 million. For example, like, you can be talking about robbing people, right? And then that you rapping about robbing people, it takes you to the chart. You become a multi-millionaire and you give money back to the community. But your music have an influence on me that causes me to go rob people.
Why?
Because you're getting into my psyche.
Because it's the words.
Yeah, your words, it becomes, as you listen to something over and over and over, you become that thing. Yeah. That is why words are very, 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 very powerful. And not to say, because there's some people that say they talk about what they've been through. Okay, it's one thing to talk about what you've been through. You're always telling me about what you've been through, and you speak to it, or you, like your music or your movies is about what you've been through, but you never tell me about, okay, the solution to what you've been through. So you tell me about how, like, you're hurt between you and a black man. So, and I'm gonna wrap it up. Let's say if I've been hurt by a black girl, right, through dating, and I keep talking about, man, I was hurt, whatever. I express it whether through movies or rap or whatever it may be, right? And then the listener, all they're gonna keep hearing is how I keep talking about how black girls hurt me. So believe it or not, subconsciously in the back of their mind, because they listen to me so much, when they're in a relationship with a certain type of girl that's similar, whoa, this girl might hurt me. So I start off the relationship with a guard, or in a way where it's like, yo, this person might hurt me. Because I never told you about my solutions.
It's the only thing you can put out is what you get in. And everybody's explaining their hurts differently. I remember when XXXTentacion died, wasn't Tentacion? When he passed away, everybody was hurt because what he used to rap about is like, it used to,
that's what they're going through.
I used to sympathize with that. People used to feel as if, man, he used to talk about what I go through. And now there's this guy called Rod Wave, and when he raps, it's like people would listen to him and start crying because he's talking about what they're going through. And my thing is with the city girls, women would listen to that, and how they talk is like, yo, you gotta take these dudes for all their bread, all their money, whatever they're gonna cheat anyways. Make sure you go to a guy that's a scammer. That's, believe it or not, that's hurt and bitterness, saying, you know what, I'm hurt and I'm bitter, so guess what I'm gonna do is, I'm not even gonna try to grow a relationship with you. I'm not even gonna try to build a bond with you. Forget marriage, forget anything. I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna empower myself, do what I gotta do. There go that selfishness again, and whatever I do, whatever it goes from there, so be it.
Yeah. So the influencers, the creators, because being an influencer doesn't mean 10,000 followers. Yeah. You can have 10 followers. You can have no followers, not on social media, but the people in your household, you're influencing them. We have to be careful of the content we put. If we really want the minorities, the black community, Hispanic community, if we really want to go to another level, we have to influence each other to do good. I'm not gonna go into this. A kingdom starts with a family, with a home. We cannot want to grow as a black community and our home is broken. Women must be able to respect the man, and the man must be able to love and respect their wives. Once we start doing that, once we start operating in our own home, then that begins to spread out. Any other solutions?
Well, for me, I think that for the long run, I think one of the best things you can do, obviously, is the education system, because you got the adults. Well, first of all, nowadays we realize that the kids are not really being educated at home anymore, but they're being educated, not only like the school education, but like the life education.
Yeah, life skills.
They're being educated in school now. So I feel like first of all, I feel like the education system is not good at all. I don't think it's very good, but there's many things that the way it's ran, is not in favor of the minorities. For example, I remember my brother was talking about how the schools are funded, the public schools are funded.
Yeah.
How it's not really the governmental.
Yeah, it's by the neighborhood.
Yeah, it's by the neighborhood. Which, obviously, come on. If the neighborhood is not making a certain amount of money, obviously the school won't have a certain amount of funds. So I think that's something that that really cripples the minorities. Yeah. That in order to build wealth, you have to be educated. And I'm not talking about only school.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like educated in different areas. That goes along with like what I meant with like the educational system. It kind of sucks. There's many things that you can incorporate in the educational system that will allow the minorities, because I don't want to just say black, because you got some Hispanics too that's going through this. That will allow the minorities to actually grow and actually build wealth. Yeah. And not just work a 9 to 5 where like they're basically being enchained to their like a career. So like changing the system and changing how it's funded. If like, why not the whole government just fund the schools and like make everything equal, let everything equal out.
Besides private schools.
Yeah, besides
Don't
private
do their own
schools, obviously. But, you know, change the system, because I mean, like, to be honest, a lot of times kids are going away from what they're being taught at home now, in a way. So it's like, even if the parent might be like, man, he or she don't like black people and stuff like that, if the kid in school is always being taught like, yo, black people are actually good also, and like he or she have black friends also, and like the school system, you know, just like how I see like the school system is trying to implement like the homosexuality movement thing. Imagine if the school system was doing that for the black movement. That would have been a great way to, you know, program the kids' brain in a way to let them know like, yo, you know, blacks are not just bad, you know, you don't just go from what the parents say, because if you just go from what the parents are saying, it'll go generation to generation. But what if you teach the kids something new with the education system? So I think like to change the generation, you know, if you change the educational system, you change how everything was being ran, you know, it'll change some way the system.
I think it's all, I'm gonna piggyback on what you said. It starts at home. Like, we can't want change if we are not like willing to change. You know, and so it's like because I know a lot of people that I went to school with that have children, and it's like on social media, it's like I'm like their Instagram aunties. I see these kids grow up, but it's like to see these kids grow up, they picking up the same habits that I see you have. You get what I'm saying? Like, and it's like, where does the cycle? Where do we cut it off at? You get what I'm saying? So it's like we need to as young adults, we need to make sure that we're like actually feeding our brain. Like at this point, it's an essential. You need to know these things. Like how can you teach your kid about Black history, and you don't even know. You know what I'm saying? You don't even know about the history. You'll probably, and the only thing they're learning is from Black History Month in February, and that's the basic minimum. They're not even telling them everything. It starts with you. Even the way that you treat your children, the love. You get what I'm saying? Like everything starts at home, and then it just goes outward. It starts at home. So we got to do better as a people. We have to be more conscious of what we do, how we do it. We have to make sure that we're effective in everything that we do. When you get up, I want to challenge you all to like get up and be effective. Like get up and be productive. Get up and do something that will help make a change. You know, little steps like that really go a long way in the end. So
what I mean about go back on what she said. What I meant about the like school system is because so like we have a group that's obviously for Black Lives Matter movement, right? And then we're gonna have the group where it's like they're racist. You know, the parents are racist, and to be honest, you can't change them. You know, you can try to speak to them, you can try to help them to understand like, yo, we're people just like you guys, but to be honest, at the end of the day, if they decide to remain racist, they're gonna remain racist. So what I meant about the school system was, let's not depend on the bad apple. You know, I don't want to depend on the bad apple at all. Like I don't know, me, like I just hate depending on other things.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, let's get it moving. Like, you know, if the parents are trying to teach their kids like, yo, we'll be you know, like, yo, bad kids are this, like stay away from this kid, stay away from that. Yo, at school, let's teach them like, yo, we're all together, we're all the same.
Yeah, unity.
Yeah, let's teach unity in school.
Well, as we're wrapping up, because I think we went over our time.
One more question.
We have an all great solution, but what you see here is part of the solution, because we understand that academic school system was not created to teach life skills. Even though we can implement stuff like you're saying, like a more unity based to make sure everyone, because if they could implement, like let's say the homosexuality agenda and other agendas, they can implement something also as well to bring us together. But that is why we have stuff like here, whether through everything we're doing, the Miss Nolds organization, we want to be that gap into teaching the different life skills. Because one thing Sandy mentioned is like the whole you'll see the generation, you'll see one generation and they'll pass the same thing that they dealt with to the next generation. Sometimes it's not even their fault because they don't know. But there are things and resources out there that can help you change that paradigm or that habit. And we are here to teach on the different aspects of life, whether it's health, wealth, social life, or spirituality. We're going to touch on all those things and things that you may never have heard about, like how to deal with people, different ways to make money, connecting with the higher power, understanding how to gain a relationship with God, and just countless other stuff. Your health, how to balance, how to maintain your health, how to get in better health. So we are here for that, even though, like we said, we're not putting the responsibility on the academic school system. I'm not gonna wait till Miami-Dade come up with a curriculum, or FIU or Duke University or Harvard, wherever school. We're not waiting for them to come up with curriculums to help us deal with the life skills that we didn't, our parents didn't instill in us. So we have this organization. We have different people to teach these things. So tune in. We thank you for tuning in to the first episode. We're gonna try to do this every Saturday. The date might change. If anything changes, we'll let you know. Once again, this is Hernold Michelle speaking.
This is Dutch.
Sandy.
And this was Jay.
Follow us on Instagram at Mr. Nolds. Mr. Nolds. Same thing with Facebook is MRNOLDS. Subscribe to our YouTube. Once again, stay tuned. And if you have any questions when we're live, we will answer your questions live. Thank you for those who tuned in, and we will see you next week.
3, 2.